Okay, so here we have from City of Rott 1, the old guy with the prune juice. And if we zoom in, this is his walk cycle. So this is like the most basic version of this guy so he could walk. So I had three separate animations back in Image Ready, and then I would just cycle through these three. And in order to get these three images to vary like this and give that effect of a walk, I had to have all these separate layers. And then if you look, you can see quite a few layers here. Then I did have, when he was speaking, different mouths for his voice. And there's the mouth there. There's the two mouth, um, the T mouth, the like he'll say, "Oh, that's good to hear." So he'll go with the "oh" for that, and then that's the ah mouth, and then his eyeballs to be able to change the position of them. You just go like that. Then of course his eyebrows, you could change those up. But that was just a quick look at the character, and of course, in order to rotate his arm with that bottle, for example, I would go take a look. It's in here somewhere. There it is. So he's got his hand there. Actually, I connected his whole arm there. And then the bottle. So what I'll do is I'll just link those two together. Then I'll go to rotate. And then I'll position this pivot point right there. And then you would go like that. And then rotate, and it'll bring the bottle with it since you linked it. This is a different program though. This is not Image Ready, so it was a bit different in Image Ready, but not too much different. But if you zoom in really close, looks like it had lower resolution here. If that's 100%, you can't get too close, otherwise it would pixelate. But if I zoomed in really far, like 400%, you can see I would have had to have increased the scale of this character to be able to get in really close. Otherwise, it could start to pixelate or get blurry. But back then, I was working with only 720 by 480 for the aspect ratio. So the file sizes were a lot smaller on my older computer back then. So that was that guy. And then now we have Fred. Actually, I could just close these out. And now Fred is a zombie here. The old guy with the walker. Let me just zoom in here. And this is the forward view. One thing I didn't want to do too much of in my later movies is have the character looking directly at the camera. I mean, it's good for shots where if it's like a first person view and the zombie's walking right towards the camera, but when the zombie's interacting with other characters to the left or to the right, it's really a lot more extra work to add a direct view, although it could add to the horror aspect, so it's not something totally unnecessary. It has some purpose to it. It's just a lot of extra work if you're working on a whole lot of characters. So this is the zombie Fred from City of Rott 1, and he closes his mouth and can do that, and then he can blink his eyes, and then open them. And then, of course, if you want to remove his walker, you just go like that. And then here he is in his crawl in the city of Rott. He was crawling to a certain distance. I think he got pushed down or fell. And then he's going like that. And I had to go through that process, each frame, where you click on the different layers. So this is the more complicated animation I wanted to do of him standing up. So rather than having access to like a puppet setup where you could just easily do it and rotate it with no problem, you couldn't rotate in image ready without altering the original image. So I had to create all these separate frames to animate to get that effect of him rotating and standing up. So there he is. He's finally in his stand-up pose. And if you want to go back to his crawl, you could just go reverse it. And then eventually he'll get back down to his crawl. But it took a while to, you had to copy the whole image. You just go under this and then you go image, duplicate, and it created a whole separate image. And then I would just go under this image and then I would say, okay, flatten, I'll actually merge visible. So all those layers there, I would just merge visible. Well, that's not how it was. It was all the separate layers, like this. It was all separate images. And then you just duplicate that and merge them all together. And then you could bring them into here. And that's how you end up with this frame, for example, if I flatten it all out. As far as the Fred character, I did want to have like a story where, you know, you spend time with the character for like half the movie and then you see he turns into a zombie. And then when Unearthed Films mentioned, oh, you know, if you could extend the film, I was at like 50 minutes or so with the film. And to extend it, I had to come up with a story really quick because I wanted it released by August 2006, the next year, and it was already I think it was November or December 2005 when I presented the trailer and the film to Unearthed Films, and they said, yeah, we'll go with it. We'll, you know, distribute your film. So then this is where I had to come up with a story for Fred as a zombie. So I just kind of like added different characters, and it was a bit of a challenge where he's just kind of mindlessly wandering as a zombie to reflect his mindless wandering as a human. But not the strongest story, but it was still fun to create, and I did add some extra gory scenes, like when they're tearing apart the guy at the truck who was loading the donuts. But that's Fred, and you could see, you could make his head invisible and then make it visible again and change his mouths and whatever you need to do. So then here's a character named Hack. This was part of the extended version of City of Rott from 50 minutes to 77 minutes. So I added this character, and he is in the grocery store, and his job. Let's see his eyeballs. Oh, there they are. So his goal was to talk to. Okay, this is Hack, and the other guy was Mac on the phone. So that's why he's got that phone there. And then he's got the weapon for the zombies. And you could rotate his eyes like that. And then to have him talk, I would just go like that. That's actually a separate mouth for the letter F. So he's saying food. Then you start off with this, and then you'd go, okay, there's the O for the food, and then the D right there, food. If he was saying the word food, but that's this character, and you can see all the different layers you had to put together. Really basic drawing, kind of like a bit clumsy. I kind of like just pieced it together, as you can see with the knees and stuff. I had a bunch of pieces then, and I just assembled together. All right, and then we have this guy's name is actually Benjamin. I forgot after a while because it's been so many years, and I haven't watched the full movie in a little bit. But Benjamin was married to Sarah, the nurse, and Benjamin, I thought he was a pretty funny guy, talking about donuts, getting donuts as his main food source, but clearly he has a loaf of bread, and he's seeing if the donuts are stale or any good or not. But that was fun to create this guy. I thought it was adding a little bit more humor to the movie because he's so focused on the donuts and he's oblivious to all the chaos happening right behind him during that scene. And then when he's talking to his wife, she's well, I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it. But there he is there, and real basic pieces here. Let's see. There's his torso there, and you could remove the loaf of bread. And let's see. Here he is in his walk cycle. So I had to take all those pieces and layer them down. And then, all right, so there he is. And there's his second move, and there's his third move. You can see only 3 frames of animation. Because if I had too much going on in a scene, it would really slow everything down. But here's the last image for now for the City of Rott. And you could see it was just the pieces that I assembled together. And I didn't even create the legs. I just had that one little piece there for Mac or Hack. I think that's Hack. And this is what it would, let's see, I'll duplicate it. And then I'll just do a desaturate. A long layer. So duplicate that layer, and then this is what it would have looked like when I drew it on paper with pencil. If it'll cooperate here. There we go. well, sort of what it would look like. It wouldn't have all this nice shading to it, which I had to do later on in the computer. And the way you do that is just click within the frame, and then it should highlight all this around. It's having some trouble right now. But there it is. There's the basic drawing, and then I would add the colors to it. And just to add the color, you zoom in, and then I would go with the select tool, and I would just go around each piece here and just draw the outline, and then I would say, okay, I have that isolated. Now I'll do a color change for that piece. And so it would be originally blue, and then I would go, okay, let's make that yellow, gold, or whatever. And that's how you get that different color to it. But that's just another look at City of Rott 1, which was really challenging but fun first major film project after I created the chicken chop shop and the image ready under Photoshop. It was a 1999 program back then on my old computer. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, share, hit the bell icon, and have a great day.